Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. We're back again with that fin or bait teaser. The preview or the first part of this showed that we did a problem diagnostics, and we found out that the teeth on the back of this main gear were all stripped. It's pretty easy to see. There are no teeth here. So I don't know what this reel got into, but whatever it got into ripped all the teeth off. And the only place you can grind the teeth off is on the crosswind gear here. And it usually happens when a lesser force meets a greater force and something gives, and it was the teeth in here, probably either hung up in a snag or got a fish way out of its class and tried to fight against it and lost. So what did that do? That stopped the reel from going up and down, because that little gear on the back here drives the teeth here, which push that spool up and down, the oscillating gear. So we left that with the problem diagnosis. So let's finish this reel then. I went out to mysticparts.com. Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't. I went to Penn Parts. So Penn Parts is in Philadelphia at the original site on Huntington Avenue. And Penn recently acquired Finor. Actually, Pure Fishing recently acquired Finor, and Penn is a Pure Fishing brand, and they were able to supply me with a new oscillating gear and a new main gear. Now, when I mentioned on the other clip, I believe I mentioned on the other clip that I was going to go ahead and get both of those, the question came in on my comments that said, why aren't you replacing the pinion gear? They like to do that when they find damage like this. Well, the truth of the matter is the pinion gear is in good, the main gear, which interfaces with the pinion gear, is in good condition. So you don't need to replace the pinion gear, save the cost, right? Just make sure if you saw that this was ripped up, then of course you would want to go replace that pinion gear up here, but you don't need to. These are the two that were interacting, and we're just going to finish this now. So I took the case off. This is a bait feeder, so the bait feeder has two drag systems. It has one when it's in the off position, which is going to be the top drag on the spool, and then when you have the bait feeder on, it's going to control the line out while you're fishing a live line or just trolling chunks or something, and you just want it to drift out without constantly letting line out yourself. It's going to go ahead and do that, and that function will be controlled by this bottom drag here in terms of the speed out. Well, we took that off. You notice there were two grooves, and there was two U clips on a single clip that sit in these grooves here. And once you do that, you should be able to remove the spool. When you remove the spool, we can pull that crosswind block, and there was no damage on the crosswind block. We have some old grease here, so we're going to tune this up while we do it. We're going to get the old grease out, and we'll go ahead and put new grease in when we go to reinstall this. But right now we're in good condition with that. This appears to be a very high quality cut gear. It's heavy. It doesn't appear to be one of those zinc alloys or some of the other stuff that's you find in lesser reels. Okay, we're going to go grab my pliers and get this crosswind off. Crosswind has a little burring inside of it, so let's put that in the new one. And I got a replacement, so I don't need to worry terribly. About the oh yeah, so see, this made sense, right? I didn't inspect it, but here you go. Here's a broken tooth on this one. So if we just rushed out to buy the main gear, we would have missed that tooth is missing there, and we would have had to go order parts again. So it's always a good idea to order those in pairs, and fortunately, I guess some of my experience along the way said we probably should just go ahead and do that. They're not expensive, and if you're going to do the one, do the both. And again, if I had noticed any kind of damage in that main gear, I probably would have gone with the spool as a replacement, the pinion gear. but I didn't notice any. We're just going to clean this up. We'll come up top now. These are the new gears, but since I have it, we might as well service the whole piece. So let's go ahead and take the screws that are holding the collar. Take them off. And again, if you're just kind of watching this one without having watched the initial one, that's okay. You can find the other one on my library. But I am using a parts tray. Keeps the pieces and parts together here. And I do wear a protective glove to keep that stuff off my hands. And I recommend that you do the same. So while I'm doing this, I want to thank our first responders and essential personnel, all the folks that are working in the fields of medical and emergency support and supply chain, and all of the activities that go along with helping keep us safe during the pandemic. Your efforts truly are appreciated, and I thank you for that. There's a traditional counterclockwise lefty-loosey turn here. That's going to take the rotor nut off. Then we can remove the rotor. Now we have 3 Phillips head screws that are holding that pinion gear in place, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Finor makes a very strong saltwater reel series. This is one of them. I'm not a fan of bait feeding reels. I don't use them, but that doesn't mean that they're not good reels. It just means that I'm not a fan of them. The Finor Offshore series, the 55 and a 60, kind of are oversized and heavy, and you can bring in tuna with those reels. So they're nice alternatives to those folks that don't want to work with the conventional reel. This should just pull out. Got a little lucky there. So this is a good point to take pictures. If you haven't taken pictures along the way, this is a good one to do, because as you remove the drag stack, there's a couple of little pieces and parts in here, and you want to make sure that you get them the right way. So here we go. There's a little washer on top and then a main bearing. There's the anti-reverse clutch and a clutch ferrule, and then here's our gear. And I wanted to take that out just to clean it up, just because we know pieces broke in there, and you don't know where those pieces went. I haven't seen them in cleaning out the case, but we know that that they kind of shattered, and that's one of the reasons why you want to take the time to clean everything off. You don't want to find a broken piece that's just going to further injure the reel. Okay, so there we go. I'm just using a little pick to clean the channels. And we can just go ahead and re-lube. I'm going to use a Penn Precision grease for that, but you can use any fishing reel grease you like. I don't have a preference for one or the other. Penn happens to sell them in the 1-pound tubs, and I kind of find that convenient for all the work I do. So, and I work on a lot of Penn reels, but that's not the reason why I'm using the Penn grease at this point. All right, we noticed that we had a collar and we had the anti-reverse clutch. Now, a lot of folks make the mistake of over-oiling or oiling this clutch. Most of the time you should not oil the internal clutch. That's just because it'll slip on you if it's all greased. The idea is it's a friction, and you want to make sure that the clutch is held tight. You'll also notice that there's a shiny side, kind of metal cap, and there's a polyurethane or plastic side underneath. That's where you take the picture, in case you get confused. Now, I didn't get confused. I noticed it. This one belongs plastic side down. And what happens if you put it in upside down? Yeah, nothing. I mean, literally nothing. You won't be able to turn your reel at all. Okay, we had a big old washer. Went next. That's going to sit inside the case. You'll notice that there's a case lip here, so let's go ahead and put that in just like it is. Get that extra grease out of it. That didn't do any good to anybody where that was for the gear. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that gets in, and then make sure that that little shield washer gets in place. Then we're going to put oil on this bearing. It's a shielded bearing. Just give it a healthy drink. Go ahead and put that back in. Then we have that little shim washer or bearing washer. I'm not sure what their name of it is. And then this is always interesting. Notice when you take these collars off that they may not be symmetrical. In this case we have 2, 2, and 1. You're going to remember, because you took pictures, which side is up. This is the up side. And notice that we have 2 studs and a single hole there. So that's the way this one mounts. Sometimes these collars are different because of the way that they need to clear something. The older spin fishers, for example, only have a half a clip as opposed to a full circle holding in that mechanism, the bearing and the like. And you just need to make sure. And if you put it on the wrong way, something bad usually happens. Not necessarily injuring the reel, but something bad like the reel doesn't work the way it should. Okay, we got 2 more screws to put this back together. And typical of me, we're having our little screw party at the moment. Fun with little screws. I would normally say it's time to go get the grease on the tip of the screwdriver, but I can't even get the darn little thing in a hole. Here we go. Patience is important. I kind of learned to live with my inadequacies. What can you do? I don't pretend to be the guy who never makes a mistake or struggle or doesn't struggle with something. So if you like this kind of video, if you like to learn about fishing reels and how they work and how to repair them or how to service them, then by all means, please subscribe to my channel. There's your pieces. I found the pieces. There's the teeth that are missing right there on that bearing. Good thing it fell out. It was almost like a little force there. And I want to get these up because they'll find their way into another reel if I don't. Well, that makes me feel real good in that we got another one here too. Wow, look at that. All of a sudden I'm seeing them. So they kind of fell off to the side, but again, you don't want to find yourself in a position where these little pieces and parts come back to haunt you. All right, that's the third one out. The other ones look like they were just kind of ground down. There's another one here. So just be very careful. Make sure that you really search them out here. All right, I'm not seeing any more at the moment. That's all a good thing. I think we got the ones that broke off. One more little cleanup just because. Oh, look at that. Here's another one. Another 2. So these are all the pieces that came off the other side. Okay, I was just interrupted with a phone call, but that's all right. There was a person there that was having a little bit of a problem with the reel, and I thought I might as well answer it. All right, so we're starting our reassembly now. I'm not quite sure where I left this. We picked out all those little parts, and there was enough of them to say that was all of them. Now we got a little bearing that I just, or bushing, that sits on there. And then there's a cup inside here, so it's hard to miss in terms of how to do this. But that's your oscillating gear. I'm going to pull that out for a moment to put some grease on it. I might have put a little bit of grease on here already because when I was chatting on the phone I was kind of double duty here, trying to get ahead, and then I realized I got the video running, so there you go. So this one you don't have to inspect the teeth on like we did on the last one because it's a new replacement part. Interestingly enough, the replacement parts are not terribly expensive. Certainly makes it worthwhile to go get the parts if this is the issue. Some of them can get crazy. I just had a person set me in a 4400 spin fisher, which is a little bit older and a lot older, and they wanted all of the gears replaced. So you can do that, but it is going to get expensive when you start doing all of them. All right, we're just kind of spreading this intermittently along the gear teeth. You don't have to overload this with grease. It'll only spin out, but get a goodly amount in there. And you want to get grease on this back too, and we know that that's what the part of the reel that failed here, right? So let's make sure we get some on there, and get a little bit that's going to ride inside that bearing. You'll notice I'm using a artist painting brush for that. All right, so we're going to put that back in now. That is a shim on the bearing here. That goes on the main. Then I got some old grease in here, so we might as well pop that out and clean this off. And it may just be our luck that there's another piece of tooth or something hanging in here, so it doesn't hurt to make sure that we check this side of the case as well. Yep, look at that. There's another tooth right there. Well, I didn't count teeth, but this one's got 2 of them that are here. That will certainly make a mess of the reel. So glad that we got those caught. Just like with the other one, I'm going to clean this up. Now, there's no reason to go ahead and start taking the bail trip assembly off here, unless, of course, there's a problem with it. This is fairly simple. I'll just show you in case you have taken it off. You would remove this spring, and this whole trip lever here comes off. Then also you have to remove this one. And then the same here. There's only one little click spring back here behind that. So it's a relatively simple reel. I'll just pause for a moment so that you can see how that assembly looks, if that happens to be the one that you're trying to repair by using this video. Okay, now I'm just going to soak this bearing just like I did the other one. I'm using an aftermarket fishing reel oil for this. It's Reel X. I'll put that back in the case. Alright, now we want to grab our crosswind block. That's next up. Get a little bit of grease into that channel where that stud is going to ride, a little bit onto the back plate where it's going to slide on your gear there. And I'm thinking I can probably get this in without the axle shaft. Don't need to worry it. Get these, when you go to do these, put the stud on the bottom of the crosswind block. It makes it easier. Alright, rotor goes on next. We're going to just check underneath here. There's a little bit of stuff on the top here, so I'm going to get a paper towel, wipe that off. Somebody decided that greasing a nut was a good thing. Speaking of greasing and oiling, I'm just going to go ahead and throw a little bit of oil into both of the channels behind here. When you service the reel, that's all you need to do. You don't need to take the springs off or anything. Alright, this goes on next then. Then our nut goes on, and remember we took it off in a traditional lefty-loosey or counterclockwise fashion, so this one's going to go on to the right. And as I think I started to say, if you like these kinds of videos, please subscribe to my channel. It'll help me and it'll help you. Hit the notification button. That way it'll show you which videos I'm working on, and you can decide whether you want to watch them. And then if you have a question on this reel or any reel in particular, like the fellow that just happened to call me there, go ahead and leave it in the comments section. It's always better to do this by email or by comments on YouTube. That way I can try and answer them for you more quickly. A lot of folks will try and leave me voice messages, and I don't. If I'm working on a reel, I'm working on a reel, and that voice message kind of has to wait. So, all right, I'm just trying to line up the holes here now. We have those 2 little screws. This is where the parts tray is good. You can imagine trying to lay these 2 little screws out here on your deck. That's only going to be an invitation to trouble. So now we can take our shaft. I want to get a little bit of grease onto it. Make sure it was clean, especially knowing what we have here with the those missing teeth. That one was on my rag there. All right, hold the gearing in place. Then you got to work this through 2 pieces now. And then you want to line the slots up for that little C-clip. And then you flip to the side. Make sure you're lined up with the hole here for the screw. And we got one more little screw here. And for those of you that know me and little screws, this might be time to go for a cup of coffee. I'm going to use a little grease to try and hold that screw. Okay. And finally, if you have a reel like this one that needs some servicing and you don't want to take it on yourself, then you can contact me. Use the email, and that way I will be able to respond to you and tell you where to send the reel and the like. You want to spin the thing. If you're not in right away, you want to spin your rotor like I just did to help set this. Sometimes the spring pushes that down a little bit. Sometimes the little tag that releases the bail is out of sorts, and it just needs an alignment. And most of the time that alignment is for the just by a little bit of a turn, it'll get it over the hump on that gear. That's the trip lever. Alright, last one here. I got that little washer for the screw. Keeps it watertight. I'm just looking in my box here. This screw does not have that washer. That's because it's sitting in my parts tray. So I'm going to put that back on as well. Okay, we'll tighten these up. Put that handle on. And we should be able to get this one back to Mike. Let him go fishing. Said he doesn't need it till the fall. That's okay. We just finished up a whole series of reels from charter boats that are getting ready to go out. And I kind of wish that they would have given me those in the fall as opposed to now. But that's okay. We got them done. One more. I probably should have gone through the lower drag sequence, but we started this off as how to fix the issue with the oscillation. Probably should have spent some time doing the rest of that, since I took the time to talk about the other servicing of it. Okay, I'll line that up. We got two pieces to this. We got a larger screw goes below here that's going to hold that in place. And then we got the smaller screw up top. And hopefully between the two of these, that'll hold the arm on for quite some time. This is your smallest screw that goes up here. We use the micro driver for that. Let's go ahead and put that back on. So yeah, it helps to have a lot of different tools on your bench. That way you don't have to leave a work in progress to go search for the right one. Every now and then I get an oddball one where I do have to search, but not very much. That's because that's the wrong one. Alright, let's put this handle on here. See if we've got the oscillation. See how the reel is performing. And send it back out fishing. Alright. Okay, nothing left then but to take it for a test drive. That's a nice, smooth operating reel. Put back together. Notice our oscillation. The spinning spool is going up and down. Nice ball bearing construction. Let's make sure that the bait feeder mode is working. Got a nice spin on there. Let the line out. Let's trip that. Make sure that's working. It's tripped. Make sure that we lock in here. We do. So that's it. That's your how to replace the main gear and the oscillating gear after diagnosing the problem being that something chewed up the two of these. We had a little fight going on there. This guy lost one tooth. This guy lost the whole mouthful. And we showed you how to fish them out of the case to make sure that the remaining pieces and parts don't get stuck there as well. So I hope you've enjoyed it. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day. Keep these old reels fishing, and please stay safe and stay well during the pandemic. Have a great day.